The laughter started before the girl even stepped fully onto the mat. It rolled through the crowded martial arts gym like a wave, loud, careless, and contagious. The afternoon class had just finished sparring, and sweat hung in the air along with the sharp smell of rubber mats and disinfectant. Dozens of students stood in loose circles catching their breath when the door creaked open and a small figure stepped inside. She looked out of place immediately. A little girl, maybe 10 years old, skinny shoulders, oversized training pants that bunched around her ankles. Her belt looked freshly tied, the knot slightly uneven like she had done it herself. She stood quietly near the edge of the mat, clutching the ends of her belt with nervous fingers. Every eye in the room slowly turned toward her. At the center of the gym stood Coach Daniel Mercer, a tall man in his 40s with a thick black belt wrapped confidently around his waist. He had the broad chest and relaxed posture of someone who had spent decades proving himself in fights. When he noticed the girl, a grin spread across his face. "Well now," he said loudly, clapping his hands once to get everyone's attention. "Looks like we've got a new grandmaster in town." The room erupted with chuckles. Coach Mercer gestured dramatically toward the girl. "Come on out here, princess. Let's see what you've got." The girl hesitated for a moment, then stepped onto the mat. Her feet moved slowly but deliberately. Some of the teenage students leaned against the wall, already pulling out their phones. One guy started recording, whispering something to his friend that made them both laugh. Coach Mercer dropped into a playful fighting stance, bouncing lightly on his feet like this was nothing more than entertainment. "All right," he said with a smirk. "Why don't you show us how to throw a punch?" More laughter rippled through the gym, but the girl didn't laugh. She looked at him calmly. Her voice, when she spoke, was quiet and soft. "Are you sure you want me to?" That only made the laughter louder. Coach Mercer wiped imaginary tears from his eyes. "Oh, I'm sure," he said. "Go ahead." Across the room, someone leaned closer to their phone camera. "Yo, this is gonna be hilarious." But near the back wall, an elderly man sitting on a bench wasn't laughing. Victor Hale had spent most of the class quietly observing. His gray hair was cropped short, his posture straight despite his age. Years earlier, he had been known in competitive circles as a brutal grappler and a master of close combat. Now he mostly just watched. But the moment the girl stepped into the center of the mat, something about her posture made his eyes narrow. He leaned forward slightly. Something was off. The way she stood, the way her feet settled naturally into the floor. Victor whispered under his breath, "Wait." His eyes sharpened. "I know that stance." For a moment, the noise of the gym faded as a memory surfaced. A dusty training yard under the brutal sun of a military base. A younger version of the girl stood barefoot on concrete. Sweat rolled down her temples as she faced a tall instructor dressed in combat gear. "Again," the instructor barked. She moved instantly. Her body snapped into motion with explosive precision. Sweeps, counters, strikes, techniques far too disciplined for someone her age. She wasn't playing. She was training. The instructor crossed his arms. "You don't talk," he said firmly. "You move." The girl nodded silently. "Let your silence be your power." Back in the present, the gym buzzed with amusement. Coach Mercer bounced lightly on his feet. "Come on, kid," he said. "Try to hit me." The girl took one slow breath, and suddenly everything about her posture changed. The nervous little child vanished. Her shoulders lowered. Her feet adjusted into perfect balance. Victor Hale's eyes widened. That wasn't beginner posture. That was tactical positioning. But the laughter in the gym continued. Then the girl moved. It happened so fast that most people barely saw it. Her leg whipped across the mat in a lightning-fast sweep. Coach Mercer's smile disappeared instantly as his balance vanished beneath him. His foot slid. His body tilted. Before he could recover, she shifted her weight, feinted left, then drove a sharp palm strike straight into his sternum. The sound echoed. Coach Mercer stumbled backward, air exploding from his lungs. "Ooh!" The gym went silent. Phones kept recording. But nobody laughed anymore. Coach Mercer tried to regain his stance. Too late. The girl had already moved behind him, her arms wrapped around his neck. Perfect positioning. Rear naked choke. Her body weight dropped slightly, tightening the hold with surgical precision. Coach Mercer grabbed her forearm. He tried to pull free, but the technique was flawless. His face turned red, his breathing tightened. And then, tap, tap, tap. Coach Daniel Mercer's hand slapped the mat 3 times. The sound echoed in the stunned silence of the gym. Nobody moved. A teenager near the wall slowly lowered his phone. Did she just submit him? Another student stared at the screen of his recording. Bro, that's a black belt. Victor Hale slowly stood up. The girl calmly released the choke and stepped back. Coach Mercer stayed kneeling for a moment, trying to catch his breath. The girl untied the top of her jai and folded it neatly. Underneath, a patch stitched onto her shirt caught the light. Gold tier. International Combat Youth Champion. Inside her bag, a plaque peeked out. World Combat Federation. Under 12 champion. 3-time winner. A quiet murmur spread across the room. Coach Mercer finally stood. His ribs ached. His pride hurt even more. Why didn't you say anything? He asked. The girl looked at him calmly. You didn't ask. Victor Hale walked closer. Your form, he said softly. Military training. She nodded. Israeli discipline? Another nod. My father trained me. Victor smiled. He raised a warrior. For a moment the room stayed silent. Then someone started clapping. Another joined. Soon the entire gym was applauding, not laughing, respecting. Even Coach Mercer bowed his head slightly. You humbled me today, he said. And you taught everyone here something more important than fighting. The girl picked up her bag and walked toward the door. The room parted for her. When she reached the exit, she looked back once. Earlier they had laughed. Now they stared with respect. She whispered quietly to herself. I didn't come to impress. She pushed the door open. I came to train. The door closed behind her. Victor Hale looked around the silent gym. They mocked her, he said, before they knew her story. And everyone there realized the same truth. Real strength doesn't introduce itself. It simply appears. And when it does, it doesn't need to shout. And sometimes, the quietest person in the room carries the loudest strength. If this story gave you chills, make sure you show some love to the video. Stories like this remind us that real power isn't about showing off. It's about knowing who you are when nobody believes in you. If you love powerful storytelling like this, subscribe to Cold Justice, the place where simplicity becomes legacy and fiction meets justice. Drop a comment below and tell us what kind of story you'd like to see next. And one more thing. Tell us where you're watching from. It's always amazing to see how far these stories travel around the world. Until the next story.